Hello guys, Ashley here, Awesome HD Fan. I am back here with another video, and we are going to continue. Now, Gossip Girl rant. I'm going to do another Gossip Girl rant tomorrow. But I really need to talk about why I don't like the John McQueen podcast, the One Tree Hill podcast, and why my respect for Sophie, Hillary, not really Bethany. Every time Bethany was on her podcast, it really felt like she didn't have much of an opinion, and when she did have an opinion, it was just like, okay. As much as I love Sophia Bush and Hillary Burton, I respect those women. I absolutely respect the fact they helped start. I don't know if they helped start, that might be a stretch, but like basically they were like not the first two. How can I put this? That they let the voices be heard about the weird sexual advances that Mark Schwann put them through on the set of One Tree Hill, and the competitiveness behind the scenes, and him trying to pit everyone against each other on who was most beautiful and things like that. I respect the fact that they're very open about it on the podcast, about what they endured. I respect that. But what I don't respect in the podcast is how they basically have their own sexist views on certain stuff. And don't try to say to them that they don't, because I actually really liked the podcast at first. When they talked about seasons 1 and 2, I was really into the podcast. Season 3 and onward is where because I didn't really care about anything after like season 6, and like they don't really do a lot of videos on season 6. They feel like season 6 wasn't, they feel like it was a good season. It seems to me the only time they feel like doing a podcast is when they're ready to bury a man, and I call them out on the bullshit on TikTok. I do. Whenever I feel like there's a clip that I don't agree with, I immediately call it out. And there's been plenty of times when I have, and to me, it's when it's about a man. They literally trash men on that podcast. That is all that they do. Trash men. They never once analyze their characters for the wrong shit that they do. At all. Never. All they do is trash men. Lucas is a no-brainer. Of course they're going to trash Lucas because he's the main character, and a lot of people hate Lucas. Me personally, I don't hate Lucas. I think he's very overhated. But some of the things they say about Lucas, specifically the season 3 episode when, after he found out that Brooke slept with Chris Keller, they were mad at him on the podcast for being mad at Brooke. And they said that how dare he call her skank. I'm thinking, like, are you serious? Are you really going to try to sit here and tell me that he has no right to be mad after you telling him you want to be with him and all this crap, and he catch you in bed with another guy, and you supposed to quote-unquote like him? I don't want to hear nothing about being drunk or anything like that. I don't want to hear about that. You had the opportunity to stop yourself, and you chose to sleep with him. So you cannot get mad at him being mad at you. I couldn't believe that. To me, that felt like manipulation and just trying to play victim. Brooke was in the wrong in that situation. I don't care what anyone tells me. She was in the wrong. They talk about he was with Rachel. You mean it was Brooke's idea to come up with the fling thing? Lucas didn't want nothing to do with it. It was her idea, so he had to go along with it. And when he tried to stop it, she didn't want to stop doing it. She said they both agreed to do it, and she said Lucas is not doing his part. And it was just stupid. I just didn't understand how dare Sophia Bush call out him being mad at her for the actions that she did. Are you kidding me? And she took no accountability. Instead of her not taking accountability, she decides to throw the fact that he was with Peyton behind her back. This had nothing to do with Peyton. This is not about his wrongs. This is about your wrongs. This is about last night. It's not about what I did with Peyton or what I did with Nikki. She does that all the time. It's when they get into arguments. She wants to bring up his past actions. It's like, I'm not talking about what I did with Peyton. I'm talking about what happened last week or what happened last night. Like, you want to bring up past actions. It's like, you want to keep throwing my mistakes in my face, then leave me the fuck alone. Like, girl, bye. And like, I just like the podcast is responsible for a lot of the fandom turning into sheep. A lot of the fans do not have their own mind anymore. The podcast is responsible for turning everybody against Peyton now more than ever. I've never seen so much Peyton hate until right now. People are turning on her and everything. Like, literally, it's like one person on the podcast can have an opinion and everybody agrees. And it's always Sophie. As soon as Sophie lays out her opinion, everybody agrees with her. It's like, y'all don't have your own mind. It's like, y'all don't have your own mind, you don't have your own opinions. It's like, as soon as Sophie has an opinion, Hillary, Bethany, whoever the fuck is the guest, they're always agreeing with her. And I just think that is ridiculous. You are allowed to have your own opinion, and you do not have to agree with her. All they do is trash the men on that podcast. It's trash the men characters. I'm so tired of it. Like, when are they going to talk about? They didn't talk about Haley's kiss. They didn't talk about Haley kissing Chris Keller in season 2. They didn't talk about how her leaving on tour and leaving Nathan heartbroken. They didn't talk about any of that. Instead, what they chose to talk about was Nathan trying to stop her from having her career. Are you kidding me? As if she didn't run around and kiss this man behind Nathan's back and almost left on tour with him behind Nathan's back. Are you kidding me? And Nathan's keeping her from having her dream? Okay, that's not talking about what Haley did. Alright. What else? They don't even talk about Dan on the podcast. I don't think they, out of videos that I've seen, I never want to talk about Dan or anything. All this shit that Dan's done, all the mental torment that he put on Lucas and Nathan and Deb and Karen for however. Nope, they don't talk about that. I feel like Dan is the only character that they don't ever like trash on, not from my knowledge. The season 7 storyline where Brooke, Julian, and the girl Alex. And instead of talk about how Brooke was putting all of her insecurities on Julian and making him feel like this horrible guy because the girl that is in the movie that he has to direct is starting to become friends and starting to confide in each other. That's not talking about her behavior. That's not talking about how she punched this girl in the face for no reason. That's not talking about how Brooke was really behind the fact this girl almost committed suicide. No, that's not talking about that. Let's talk about how Julian is a terrible boyfriend, and his actions don't match up to what he say. Let's talk about that in the podcast. Let's talk about Brooke's actions. They never talk about the female's actions in this podcast, and that shit gets really annoying. No. Instead of talking about how Peyton was completely in the wrong for coming back down to Tree Hill and confusing Lucas, let's talk about how wrong Lucas was for kissing Peyton behind Lindsay's back. It's like, whoa. They're not talking about how Peyton literally came down there to be with him as if she expected him to wait 5 years for her and confusing him even more with Lindsay. Like, so no, Peyton is not wrong for that. As much as I love Peyton, she was completely wrong for coming down there after 5 years and expecting Lucas to just be waiting for her with a welcome mat because you're ready now. Nope. No. People are not going to wait for you. You think he's going to stop his life because you said no 4 years ago? No, he's about to move the fuck on. Just because he moved on doesn't mean he wasn't sad about losing you. No. Obviously she was sad about losing, but now we know that in season 6 that Peyton did move on, which I hated. I did not like the Julian storyline. That was stupid and very unneeded. To me, they had me thinking that she was just like sad the whole time. Totally she wasn't. She moved on, which is not a bad thing. Like I said, some people handle breakups differently. Some people stay sad for a few months or years and then they move on. Some people choose to move on to cope with it. I definitely think Lucas moved on to Lindsay to cope with losing Peyton, and I feel like maybe he thought he would never see Peyton again. Maybe he thought Peyton would never come back to Tree Hill. And when she did, it made things even more confusing. And I feel like they never talk about how wrong Peyton was for coming down there and confusing him. I could understand. They never talk about how her attitude towards Lindsay could be very bitchy. Like I said in my What You Hear rant, I don't think Peyton needs to befriend Lindsay. I don't think she needs to befriend her. No one should be telling her that she needs to befriend Lindsay. But just because her and Lindsay are not friends doesn't mean that every time her and Lindsay has an interaction that Peyton needed to be a bitch. And half the time Peyton was really bitchy towards Lindsay. Even when Lindsay was trying to be nice, Peyton was bitchy towards her. But Peyton did not need to be her friend. Like I said, what do her and Lindsay have in common? What do her and Lindsay, what are they going to talk about? Lucas. Like, Peyton does not need to be her friend. I don't think she really had a legitimate reason for not liking Lindsay outside of the fact that she was with Lucas. And I think they never want to talk about that, how Peyton never really had no other reason outside of liking her, outside of the fact that she was with Lucas. But I feel like Brooke and Haley, especially Haley is stupid for letting Lucas carry her in a relationship with Lindsay when she knew fucking deep down that he was still in love with Peyton. All of them standing by and they could have prevented this, but they sitting there and let him continue the relationship with this girl. What the fuck are y'all doing? How about that? Y'all talk about that. They don't talk about that in the podcast. How they all just stood by and let Lindsay get her heart broken because they were too dumb to prevent it. There were a lot of things all of them could have done. Shit, I know if I was a writer, I would have been like, so no one's going to say anything? No one's going to tell Lisa that she's basically wasting her time? Y'all know, Brooke, you've been in a situation before. You should have stood up and told her ass that nothing is going to stand in between Lucas and Peyton, and you're wasting your time, girl. Like, no, but they don't do that. All they do is trash the man in the podcast. They trash Nathan in season 5. They talk about how he was a real jerk for making Haley, what was it? The season 5 storyline with her and Nathan. Becky was talking about how a lot of that storyline came from a personal thing for her because she was going through a really rocky marriage, and a lot of the stuff for her and Nathan in season 5 was really like touchy. It was very personal, and Bethany really acted her ass off, especially in like episode 2 with her and Nathan, where she started going to sit there and not say anything for the last 6 months. Like, that was honestly a great acting scene on One Tree Hill because I felt it. I definitely felt what Haley was going through. And did y'all know that her dropping the glasses was unscripted? That wasn't supposed to happen, but she just did it and they ran with it. I thought that was pretty cool learning that from the podcast. That scene, her knocking the glasses over, was unscripted. But instead of them talking about, listen, and I didn't think about this until the guy on TikTok brought to my attention. He's the same guy who talks about One Tree Hill. I absolutely love his analyzations. He said they never mention how that in season 5 Haley kind of left Nathan all alone to deal with his mental stuff when she should have been there for him. And I can somewhat agree. Just because your husband is going through a really dark time doesn't mean you abandon him. And I understand that Haley was there, but when you watch the first episode, Haley isn't really like with Nathan. She's not really telling him to get it together. She's not really like telling him to stop drinking. Like, she's not encouraging him to go to physical therapy or to do really much of any of that. And you can tell the reason why she's not doing that is because she's mentally exhausted dealing with him not trying, which is totally understandable. But they don't talk about that all in the podcast, how she kind of just let Nathan to deal with his own devices. And sometimes people need to do that. But to me, I feel like if you're a wife, you should be encouraging your husband instead of leaving him alone to deal with it. But I could understand that everyone gets mentally overwhelmed, and Nathan needed to deal with it his own way, which I totally get. I totally get it. And, you know, I could understand them trashing Nathan in season 5 because Nathan, he wasn't the best. He did turn it around. But the whole Nanny Carey storyline, I totally understand. His actions in the Nanny Carey storyline were they were inexcusable. Watching her swim naked and being totally inappropriate. Him watching her dance with other men and getting jealous, not telling her that her actions were inappropriate when she kissed him or when she put up his pants. It was totally inappropriate. You're a nanny for Jamie. You're not supposed to be coming into my room, pulling up my pants. You talk about that's what I'm here for. No. You're here for Jamie. You're not here for Nathan. I don't need no nanny. I'm like, no. I don't need that. I'm trying to think if I got anything else to say. I don't watch the podcast anymore because I'm tired of them dragging the show down. I'm tired of them just not saying anything nice about it. They have not said one good thing about the show, and they want to bring the show back for a reboot. Are you kidding me? How you bring the show back for a reboot? A show that you don't even understand. You don't even understand. Y'all don't even understand your own characters when y'all watch the show. Y'all don't understand the romances. Y'all don't understand the chemistry. Y'all don't understand any of it. The writing, none of it. They have no idea what made fans fall in love with One Tree Hill, and yet they're the ones who want to create a reboot. Are you kidding me? Honestly, the way I'm feeling after watching the podcast, I probably won't be watching it because I don't want to see a show just focusing on Brooke and Peyton. There were so many other characters in One Tree Hill that I like Lucas, like Nathan, like Haley. I like Rachel. I don't care for Mouth that much. I like Skills. I actually really like Bevan. I love Karen. I didn't care for Deb, and Dan is dead, which is good riddance for me. But why would I want to watch a show where I don't see Lathan in it? Like, come on. I want to see Lathan. And just because Sophia Bush can't get over the past, that has been no 5, honey. Get over it. She's with someone else now. It's like Chad is married. Chad is worried about Chad. Why are you so worried about him coming back? It's like, if y'all were able to work all those years ago on set without no problems that I know of, she don't even talk about them being married because she don't like talking about it. It's like, then leave it alone. Like, I don't care. That happened in 05. Leave it in 05. This is the year 2025. We got in 2005, honey. Like, ugh, she blow me. Like, she don't, it's weird to me that out of all the people who were on that show, Chad is the only one who has not, Chad is the only one who has not made an appearance. Karen's made an appearance. Deb's made an appearance. Dan's made an appearance. I don't think Keith made an appearance. I don't think Keith, actually this all of them has made an appearance. I don't think Keith, Mouth, so these are people I know who has made an appearance. I'm going to say that. I know Dan's made an appearance. Deb, Karen, the guy that played Jimmy, who else? Brooke's mom, Victoria. I think the girl that played Lindsay made an appearance. They talk about her and Lucas should have been in game. Get the fuck out my face. Oh, bye now. Bye. I'm trying to think who else made an appearance. The guy that played Julian and the guy that played Clay. Everyone else who has not made an appearance. Lucas, Keith, Mouth. Oh no, Skills made an appearance. Bevan. Rachel's made an appearance too. And the one girl who played Shelly, she's made an appearance. I'm trying to think who else. There's a lot of characters out there. I don't think Haley's sister's made an appearance. Like, but to me, I think the biggest one is Chad. Like, even though you can love or hate Lucas, but let's be real here. Lucas is the reason why One Tree Hill started, and when he left, the show was never the same. And another thing too that the guy said on TikTok, that he thinks that Sophie and Hillary could be jealous of the fact that when they left the show, that they didn't do much of acting work after it. And I think Hillary was on a different show, but I think even she said that she left the acting scene to focus more on being a mom and a wife, which is like, okay, I'm so proud of that. She want to focus on being more of being part of her family, being with Jeffrey, and I'm all for that. I know Sophia Bush was in Chicago PD. That's pretty much all I know after she left One Tree Hill. But Chad was really the one who stayed consistent in shows. I remember Chad was on Star. Chad was on Riverdale. He's on Netflix shows. He's in movies. Chad is really the only one who is staying active after the show. I don't think the guy that's played Nathan, I don't think he's had much acting job. Like, I worry about what he do for a living. Yeah, I don't really think half of them has found work after One Tree Hill, and that's very sad. But Chad was the only real relevant star when the show started. He already had a name in the team in that 2000s teen time. He was in Freaky Friday. He was in The Cinderella Story. I haven't seen every single thing he was in, in the 2000s, but like he was like a major heartthrob. He was in Gilmore Girls. He was in Dawson's Creek. He was not in the OC. It would have been nice if he did make a guest appearance. But did y'all know that Chad was he was offered to be Ryan in the OC, but then he got offered to be Lucas in One Tree Hill, which is a good thing he wouldn't be in Lucas because the OC fell off after like season 3, and I don't think him and Misha Barton would have had the chemistry that Ryan and Marissa had. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Chad and Misha would have had any chemistry. Like, what's the guy name that played Ryan? I can't remember his name, but I think Ryan and Marissa had great chemistry. No matter what anyone says, but. Just knowing that Chad took One Tree Hill because it fit him more. Like you said, he kind of grew up without a mom. His mom kind of like walked out on him and his family after I think his parents got divorced and like she just walked out and never came back. So that kind of like resonated more with him, which is like I'm all for whatever you feel like fits you better as a character is great, I guess. So, yeah, but I think to me, I just don't respect the fact that Chad has made an appearance. The fact that he's not there, he should be there to talk about some of the scenes that they're talking about, and he should be able to give his opinion on what he thought of the scene looking back at it all these years ago. I'm over them. I'm over their feminist agenda of we hate men are to blame for everything. I'm just tired of it. I'm really tired of it. I don't like I don't like feminists who just hate everything men do and think that everything men do is terrible, is misogynistic, is sexist, and yet we tend to overlook our own sexist views, like blaming men for everything or not taking accountability of our faults and our mistakes. And that's what they seem to do with their characters on One Tree Hill, that they barely talk about the love triangle and the mistake that they both made when it came to it. Like, they barely talk about that. They rarely talk about it, and it's like, that's like the biggest storyline in the show. Are we not going to talk about that? And to me, I just find it really annoying. And another thing that I want to talk about is them saying that the female characters were overly sexualized in the show. Me personally, One Tree Hill is the least sexualized show I've ever seen when it comes to female characters. The reason why I think that they think the females are sexualized was because Brooke and Rachel were two girls looking for love, and they were very promiscuous, and that doesn't mean that a character is necessarily sexualized. It's that they're both looking for love, they just tend to go at it the wrong way. I think with them, they think sleeping around with guys make guys want them to fill a hole inside of them. So maybe that's what they think, but me personally, I don't agree with half the things they say. I understand people are going to have their opinions, and that's fine, but I just feel like when your opinion is based off, I hate this and I hate that, is not looking at a logical sense, it tends to give people the wrong message. And they got to some people in the fan base. They got to the ones who have no mind of their own. They're sheep. They agree with everything that they say. They got to them. I'm not going to let their views ruin One Tree Hill for me, because One Tree Hill is the best teen drama show ever fucking created, and I stand 10 toes down on that shit. 10 toes down on that. I stand on it. No show has been able to fill One Tree Hill's boots, in my opinion. As much as other shows did cover like more heavy topics, like Degrassi, like My So-Called Life, I still prefer One Tree Hill over those shows any day to me. So, period. That's just my opinion on the Drama Queen podcast. I don't like their views. I don't like their opinions, and it's kind of making me lose respect for Sophie and Hillary, because they just give like that. They give that typical feminist energy, like we just hate men. And Sophie and Hillary is married, so for her to just hate everything that men do, it's like, girl, you're married. Like, you've been with this man forever, and you've dated other guys. you can't necessarily think in your mind that every man out there is just a narcissistic, misogynistic guy. Like, you literally cannot think that. Come on now. And I'm not Sophia Bush. She just came out as a lesbian, so a lot of people feel like she's coming out as a lesbian because she hates men. Me personally, ain't none of my business. I don't care who she date or what she identify as. It ain't my business. I don't care. But to me, I think I would appreciate it a lot more if they would just acknowledge what their characters do and not just slap on the wrist to their characters because they're women. That women are allowed to change, women are allowed to grow, but men aren't. And to me, I don't like their viewing on that. So they need to change that up real quick. The sooner they change that up is when I'll go back to watching the podcast. But they're not really talking about a season that I care about. I don't care about season 7, 8, or 9. I don't care for those seasons. And you can tell they get really bored talking about the seasons because they go back to go analyze a more good season, like season 3 or like season 4 or 5 or 6. They'll go back to analyzing a scene from one of those seasons because those are the good seasons. Seasons 7, 8, or 9 are not good seasons. They're boring seasons. So I can definitely understand why they were bored. But that's my opinion on it. Leave yours on in the comments below. Comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.